Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to the Matt Hilton Show. Today is a brand new format. We are live, and if you're watching right now, you're watching probably on YouTube or our Facebook page. And we have a live audience today too. Make some noise, y'all. Yay! So today's guest is not a native of Texas, but she got here as quick as she could. She brought house porn to Texas. We're going to learn about that today. And she writes for national publications such as Forbes about real estate, and she is a sought-after person as a real estate expert here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And Candace Evans is here with us today as our guest. Candy, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me. Gosh, thank you. And you call me whatever you want, Candy, Candace.
I'm going to call you Candy.
Candy,
because I know you from Candy's Dirt.
From Candy's
Yes,
Dirt. That's
yes.
right. That's our website. It's no longer a blog. We started as a blog, but we are now a complete news website, and it is busy. Let me tell you, it keeps me busy whether I'm in town or out of town, 24/7. I love it, but you know, real estate is the most important story, I think, of our century, possibly. Unless you're talking about the dude who just went down in Russia. How long did you give him? The Wagner Group?
Right.
We had a bet. How many months do you think before he got, you know?
Yeah, something will probably happen, Unfortunately,
Something probably happened. In real estate, though, we love Dallas because we are so sought after by so many different folks out there. I mean, I just was reading today about the states where everyone's moving, you know, from New York, the Northeast, Illinois, California, all this influx is coming in of people here and buying. They're buying, right? Yep. Yes, and closing, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
For sure. So I want to introduce the guest that we have, or our sponsor that's on the couch with you today. So we have Carol Stratman with Independence Title Monticello. So our episode today is made possible by Carol. So thank you, Carol, and Independence Title.
Thank you.
And how do you know Candy?
Candy and I go way back. I used to work with Candy's daughter when I first got into the title business. Okay. And we've done events and been pals for a long time. So, yeah, she's done a lot of speaking for me at different events. And so have a great partnership, and I'm really happy that we could be here to support this today.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Well, thank you, Carol, and thank you, Independence Title Monticello. So, Candy, I heard recently that Dallas was named as the safest city for large metro cities in the U.S. Did you hear that?
I heard that, and I don't exactly agree with that.
Well, I figured you wouldn't.
You know, I have a little political streak in me. I've run for city council. I can't even remember how many times I've run for city council. It's probably so much. But I don't think it is the safest city. I think they're just changing the measurements of how they do it. I think that we used to be one of the safest cities. Certainly when we moved here, from New York City, I couldn't believe the freedom that I have. We didn't have to even lock our doors. You know, I'd locked everything up because I came from New York, and you just didn't have to do that here. But now it's changing. And I was just recently up in Maine, in Kennebunkport, and I went to the store, I think it was late at night one night, to pick some stuff up before we left. And I was like, oh my God, you know, I can't take my nice purse with me. You know, this is what I'm doing here in Dallas now. I got to park real close. I was like, wait, you're in Kennebunkport. Nothing happens here. You know, it's a very safe feeling. So I actually had a big discussion with one of our friends up there about what the problems are that create this lack of safety. And we certainly have seen a lot of problems in our parking lots, I'm looking at the Target over here that over through the window in North Dallas. We've had a lot of problems there. And, you know, the police did tell me when I got home, I said, well, you know, was anything happening? They said, no, it's too hot. So this is the good news about the weather. I mean, the criminals don't want to be out, right? So maybe that's why our crime rate is, why we're so safe, right? Because we're so hot.
Yeah, so you brought up about running for politics. So what inspired you to run?
Oh, this city. I think our city is being very poorly managed now. I mean, and today they're discussing a property tax rate decrease which they really need to do. We really need that. Our property taxes have gone up too. And that's what's making it hard for people to buy here. I mean, for sure. I mean, everyone in real estate knows that. It's also contributing to unaffordability, because it's making it so folks can't pay their home. I mean, some people are paying more on their property taxes than they are for their mortgage, and that's crazy. So the state has to do its part, which it tried to do. I don't think they went far enough, but now the city needs to do its part. And we do not need a $4.6 billion budget in Dallas. We need to trim that puppy back a little bit.
Yeah, so what did you learn? What was one lesson that you learned when you have run?
Oh my goodness, I have learned so much. But basically, it is a very tough thing to run for a public office because nobody votes. And people care, but they don't really.
And why do you think that is?
I think that they're just too busy. I mean, everyone's super busy these days. And I ran into one guy when I was out block walking in North Dallas, and he had this little boy with a baseball bat. And I just said, "Can I talk?" He says, "No, I don't care." I said, you don't care about the community? You've got a little boy here. I'm too busy. I'm taking him to, Little League or something. And I'm thinking, he didn't care enough to talk about what was happening in his city, but he's got a little child there. And then I'm just contrasting that to being at City Hall a few weeks later for the big vote on short-term rentals. And there were 60 people there talking against, wanting the city to ban short-term rentals. Very controversial topic. I won't get into it here because there's a lot of controversy, I know. Right. But there were 60 people there. They were very angry, and one woman in particular she just made me almost cry as she was telling this to the city council. She said, there was a party next door at a house next door to us. And I had a little girl over spending the night with my daughter, and my husband, who was a war veteran, hit the ground and laid on top of the girls when these gunshots went off because the party was so wild. They were shooting, and they actually shot bullets into some of the neighboring homes. Now, if those council members weren't touched by that testimony, then they don't deserve to be there because that was compelling. And this is what made them realize finally that they had to do something about these crazy parties in these single-family neighborhoods. But I just thought of my own children, my grandchildren. I mean, if I heard gunshots, what I would do in the house with them. And I don't want it to come to that. That's terrible.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think that it's the NIMBY, not in my backyard, or is it an issue of maybe we need to have certain zones like Arlington has and some others where short-term rentals are allowed? Well,
that's what they did. We did the entertainment areas of Dallas, very similar to Arlington. Absolutely, because I have a real tough time with telling people you cannot do this in your home. I mean, you own that property.
That's where I was coming from.
I know, and I have a real tough time with that. But the problem is it's gotten out of the control, has just gone haywire with, the parties and all that. And I know people who are really responsible with their short-term rental people. They come in, they take care of them, they're quiet, they don't disrupt the neighborhood. Unfortunately, those seem to be in the minority, or they don't grab the headlines. But when you have the shootings and you have the noise and you have all that going on, it's tough. Okay, so funny story. So we were just in Maine at a family beach house, and the house next door, which I looked at last year, has been purchased, and it's now an Airbnb. So these kids were having a wild party there, and I'm thinking, I just kind of like the music. I thought, this is fun, They're out playing beer pong in the front. I thought, maybe I'll just go over there and grab a drink or something, And then my son came downstairs with the baby, who was crying because she wouldn't go to sleep. So he took her outside, and he didn't say anything to them, but they said, oh gosh, do we wake her up? And he said, no problem, tomorrow morning at 6, she's gonna be crying, and you guys.
She'll return the favor.
She's gonna return the favor. So they're like, okay, we'll go inside, we're sorry. They kind of gave him some space there so she would go to sleep. Yeah. But it is disruptive. I kind of got a little taste of that, they were really sweet kids, but again, it was a party going on next door on, a regular night, and it made my granddaughter not able to sleep.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And that can happen in any house. I could throw a party at my house and be rambunctious. It doesn't have to be an Airbnb.
Exactly. I mean, I've thrown a few good parties.
There you go.
I've had the neighbors call too, have you?
No, not yet.
have, yeah.
My parties aren't as wild as Candy's, evidently. So, Candy, we have a question from one of our viewers here. And again, if you're watching on Facebook Live, please put your question in so I can ask Candy.
Thank you.
About the homes that are being torn down.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
yes.
in Highland Park area.
Yes.
And will any more be torn down is the
yes.
question.
And you know what? I was just talking to an agent on the way over here about that. I'm sure you all saw the story that we ran recently about the beautiful home that was on the endangered list in Highland Park. And you know what? That was a very kind of hostile environment there, because we had some pro-environmentalists who were kind of shaming, the builder. But on the other hand, I'm told, and I wasn't there because I was out of town, but I'm told by my writers that the builder was kind of cheering on the tearing down of the home, which I think is a little insensitive, I mean, it's really hard to see these homes go. It breaks my heart. I'm on the Board of Preservation Dallas, and I'm all for it. But I think the problem is that there are some homes that are just not kept up. And as we all know in real estate, homes are like organic things. You have to fix them or repair them, and if you don't, it's kind of like a lady who needs a really bad facelift, even worse.
Yeah.
I mean, how much can you hoist that thing up, And I really thought about this too while I was watching this being kind of unraveling on the site as I'm in Maine with all these homes. I mean, the beach house we're in was built in 1895 or something. I mean, it's really, really old. And now there's like 2 plugs in every room. And so like if you want to plug your phone in, you unplug someone else's phone
Right.
or something to put I mean, it's really hard because this home was, obviously it was built before there was electricity, then they retroed it. The boomerang formica is still in the kitchen. And everyone says, oh, we should modernize the kitchen. I said, you don't want to go there, because if you go there, you're going to find out there's only 2 plugs in the kitchen, and you're going to have to redo everything, and then it's going to be a mess. I mean, it's going to be very expensive. But still, I think we have to find a balance, and that balance is perhaps more education for homeowners so they can understand that home maintenance is really important, especially if you have an important home, a home that has historical value to it, as the beautiful moldings and the beautiful wood. All that is so worth preserving, but it does have to be maintained.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm told, by the way, on Facebook that that home wasn't maintained. It was a sad situation where the owner was ill and wasn't able to take care of it. So there was a lot of deferred maintenance on it.
Yeah.
So
going to your blog real quick, or your website now,
yes.
as it is, yes. So it started off as a blog.
It started off as a blog.
And
because,
how did you get started in that?
Well, it was because of my son, because he wanted to go to California to work for a job. And I was at D Magazine, and I was writing about real estate. And I was the real estate editor. And I said, you're not going alone without your mother. Oh, no, I'm a big boy. I can go by myself. And I said, no, I will take you and deliver you and get you all squared away, as we mothers do, right? And so I thought, I've got to find a reason, an excuse to go out there, because he was really putting his hand up, and saying, this girl was going to go with him. No girl's going with you. This girl's going with you, right? So, so I got online and I said, real estate blog, and I found Inman. Oh my God, Inman Real Estate Connect, which is this very famous. It's a conference, and it's a it's also a news website that was started by the real estate editor of the San Francisco Chronicle, but it's all very tech. And I'm like, I'm reading this stuff and going, oh my God, this is interesting. And so I said, I have to go to this conference. And he said, you do? I said, yeah, I have to go. It's all about blogging. So it's like, oh, okay, we had a great time. And I got out there and I got to the conference and didn't know what in the world they were talking about. And here I am in real estate, right? And so I went over to some very nice man and I said, what is going on here? He goes, oh, you don't know that everything in real estate is going online? Like, well, I mean, no, I didn't know that. Oh yeah, print is dead, everything is online, and this is the perfect way to expose and sell real estate is on the web. And it is going to change dramatically, and agents need to step up, because this was a conference, basically it was really aimed at the agents and helping them develop the skills to keep them in the business. And flourish. And so they said agents need to keep up with this. Agents need to figure out that they have to have a website, and they have to advertise on the web, and they have to get SEO. I'm like, SEO? What is that? You know, so I just played reporter and asked questions, and everyone told me what I needed to know, and I was amazed. And by the way, the funniest story is I went to the next Inman that year or the year after, and these guys came on stage to speak. Because Inman is very famous for kind of bringing in like whoever is they call them the disruptors, you know. And I was kind of a disruptor too. I think I am a disruptor. And so they brought them on stage, and there were these two guys who had just started this thing called Airbnb. And so I listened to the presentation, and you know how it started is they couldn't pay their rent in San Francisco. So they got this brilliant idea that they would, and they were all writing apps. They knew how to do these computer things on their computers or phones or whatever. And so they created this app quickly so that they could rent out their apartments, they could make their rent payment. And I thought, that is so smart, but that is so stupid. I turned around and said to someone, they're going to go out of business so quickly. They are never going to be successful, because who in the world is going to lease their home out to someone else? Well, tell you what I know, look at how successful it's been. I mean, those guys are probably got 5 homes in Hawaii now, right?
Yeah, that are paid off. And
Yeah, exactly. And not in Maui, but you know, probably the Big Island.
So we got one more question before we go to break.
Okay.
Do you think it is the responsibility of shopping center owner to pay for off-duty policemen to make shoppers feel safe?
You know what? I don't think it is their obligation, but I think that's going to have to start happening. But it really makes me angry that our city, for the taxes we pay, and the police that we don't have or should have, cannot provide that. But I do think, and I'm starting to advocate for that. I'm telling the shopping center management around our neighborhood that, you know, I'm sorry, but I think you're going to have to do this, at least in the short term, you know, and have more police out there. And I don't want to see them inside guarding your merchandise. I want to see them outside guarding the folks coming and going from their cars. I mean, the last one at Whole Foods was a mom with a child. I mean, can you imagine how traumatic that must have been? Yeah. Horrible.
Yeah.
So.
All right, everyone. We are on Facebook Live and on YouTube live today for the first time ever. So if you have a question, you're on Facebook Live, make sure you go on and ask that question. I will do my best to ask Candy while she's here with us today. Stand by for a short commercial from our sponsor today, Independence Title Monticello, and we'll be back shortly.
What does it mean to buy a home, a business, a piece of dirt in Texas? It means joining a vibrant community and committing to the future we can build together. Independence Title stands right beside you on your piece of Texas dirt. We have helped hundreds of thousands of people find their way home, open businesses, and invest in their future. At Independence Title, we know getting it right means more than crunching the numbers and closing the deal. It means reaching out and checking in. It means working hard and celebrating the small things. Getting it right means caring about people and earning respect. Independence Title is homegrown in Texas and dedicated to supporting the communities we serve. All jobs are staffed locally, and our network of relationships is as deep and wide as Texas. Declare your independence and welcome home.
Let me change whatever is wrong and make it right.
Welcome back to the Matt Hilton Show, and today's guest is Candy Evans. Candy, thank you again for being here, and I thoroughly enjoyed that first segment. I can tell your passion for what you do and for the city of Dallas, for real estate, and for life. And so I would like to talk about your life for a second. I mean, that is what this show is about, is interviewing fascinating people that have inspiring stories.
Oh.
And so you said you moved to Dallas from New York City.
That's where I was going to school.
Did you grow up in New York?
No, I grew up in the Chicago area. Actually, I was born in Oak Park, where Frank Lloyd Wright, you know, kind of got his start. So maybe I got switched in the hospital. I don't know. So I grew up there, and you know, always liked looking at homes. I don't know why. Maybe because my parents were always looking at homes too. And in fact, my mother built her dream home just as I was graduating from high school. It had orange shag carpet that you could rake. That was so cool. That was, I don't know. I just,
Yeah.
the shag
Mine was
carpet.
an aqua green. Yeah.
A green, I know. And my aunt, one of my aunts, and I forget, she had this. She was like so trendsetting. And when they sold her home, I begged for the lights in her bathroom. She had these lights that were so gaudy. They were just so over the top. And I just wanted them. I just thought, but you know, I didn't get them. They sold the house, and I think it got torn down. But you know, she had the green, the olive green sink, refrigerator, carpet, everything. It was the olive, kind of not even an olive green, that limey green or something that was so big in the 70s. So anyhow, I have always loved homes. You know, my dorm, I was thinking everyone's going back to school. We wrote a story about, you know, decorating your dorm room this week. Which, by the way, the dorm rooms now are so over the top. My God, you know. I did decorate mine. You know, I thought it was cute with the pillow and all that, you know. Then I moved back to Chicago and worked for WBBM TV. My first day was the day that Mayor Daley died, and all hell broke loose. It was crazy. But I have always loved this business, the television business. So it's very exciting, and I did a little on camera. I did mostly behind the scenes. It was just, you know, you'd be sitting there, and you'd have a wonderful normal day, and then something would happen, and it was just like the next thing you knew it was midnight. You know, you're still at the station working on things. And I think that kind of made it so that I never could have a regular job, because nothing was ever that exciting, you know, to have all these different things happen. So then I went to graduate school, reconnect with my husband, who said he wanted to go to Texas to do his residency. And I'm like, are you kidding? There are 3 cities I'll live in. Do you know what those cities are? Chicago, New York, or Boston, dear.
Dallas wasn't one of them.
No, but he said, well, we'll just go camp out for a few years. Well, I got here, and I had no idea what living south of the Mason-Dixon, I've never done it. You know, I've been up north, on east, and it's wonderful. And the weather was fabulous. So I just said, oh no, I love it. I want to stay. You know, it's great. So we did stay, and he also wanted to live in one place because he had traveled a lot as a child. His dad was moved every 4 years, so he lived all over, and he wanted to give his family kind of that stability to be, you know, in one place. And so we did that, and here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah, raised 2 children, have 4 grandchildren. They're on my neck right here. And I was with 3 of them last week, and they're such a hoot. They no longer call me Cece now. They call me Bon Bon. This is the new thing. They're calling me, yes, Bon Bon.
And where's that from?
Well, it's French for candy.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and I don't know where they got that from, but this is their new thing. Yeah, French for candy.
That's great.
And I was
so looking at homes, and you say you're passionate about that. So on your website it says that, you know, you brought house porn to the Bible Belt, right? So what is your favorite house in Dallas?
I cannot say because there's so many. I think I possibly could. Gosh, which one would I buy? God, that is so hard. Well, I mean, there is one right next door to me that I absolutely love. And I love the fact that the new owner is kind of a swinging, well, I don't know if he's single or not. He's something. He likes to have a lot of parties and stuff. So I said, can I have my campaign party at your house? It's a 2-bedroom glass home, all very, very modern and 1-story, and it wraps around this beautiful swimming pool. I love that home. Gosh, I'm so sorry. There's so many. Love the Crespi Estate. Oh my God, that is a fabulous home, and it's on the market again. Yeah, 60 million.
60 million.
Think we could get, think we
Can
can
you
get
get us a tour of that?
Little financing. I know you'll close that for me. I would love to get. I'm trying to get them just to let us write a story about it. I don't know where these owners come from. We want to sell our home, we want to ask $60 million for it, but no publicity. Well, do you think that people are going to ever find out that home is on the market if there's no publicity for it? Oh, well, we don't want to write about it. Okay, we don't want to write about it. We want to tell anyone it's on the market, but you want to sell it, right? Yeah, it's so frustrating. I love that home. I love all the homes around there. I love a lot of the homes over in Lake Forest. There's one I wrote about a couple about a year or so ago that I would have bought in a heartbeat, but it was, I think it got snapped up. They're getting snapped up very quickly,
Yes,
very
they are.
quickly,
Yes, they are.
because we don't have any inventory.
Yeah.
One of my favorite streets is Rockbrook. Rockbrook. And I also like Dentwood. In fact, there's a beautiful home. Talk about a preservation story. I was just thinking of this. It's a beautiful home that we all thought would be torn down. And one of my favorite stories I've ever written, I think I won some award for this story, but this home had 2 owners, and the agent brought in both families for a meeting. And they sat there and talked about their experience in this home and how they played when they were little. And I was the writer, so I was getting to observe this whole thing. And it was so touching for me because they were, well, did you guys used to do that? Yeah, we used to hide over here. Do you know there's a secret corner over here? No, we didn't know that. How do we never find that? But we'd ride our bicycles, our skates, you know, they'd put our skates on and go down this hall because the floor was all beautiful terrazzo. And it was so touching to see this family. 2 families who had lived in the same home sort of united by this home, and then they did sell it and it's being preserved. And I'm so excited to hear that, to know that. So we have to follow up with a story on that on Candy's Dirt. I have some wonderful staff who I'm sure I drive them crazy. My assistant editors and my editors, and I stay up really late at night, so I'll send them emails. They turn their email off at midnight because they know that they'll be getting stuff from Candy. So in the morning, it's like ding, 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 ding. But they're really wonderful. And Joanna England is my brain because she always knows what I'm thinking. I don't know how she does that, but she does. And she says, I know you want us to do a story on it, right? Yep, got to do a story on it. So I'm very fortunate that when Karen Eubank she is a fabulous writer, and she writes all our Monday Morning Millionaires, and she has a tremendous appreciation and knowledge for architecture and good homes and beautiful homes. And we want to do more in architects, by the way. That's one of my goals, and more commercial real estate.
Okay, y'all heard that, architects
and commercial real estate.
Commercial real estate. Okay.
I want these developers I want to get the juice, you know. Yeah. But so house porn, because I don't forget, you asked me that question. House porn is, it was actually coined by someone in Washington, D.C., but you know what? I stole it. And it means you love looking at pictures of homes, and who of us don't like to look at homes, whether we're moving or not? We just want to get ideas. We want to look at, you know, how, you know, where people move, where they live, and just kind of dream. You know, oh, I'd love to live in Lake Tahoe. Look at this gorgeous home there. Now we all know that once we move in with all of our stuff and our dogs, it is not going to look like that. So I think it's kind of like looking at catalogs, I look at catalogs. Oh, this is great. This is great. If I was that skinny, I'd look like that and that. You know, that's how it is with homes, and that's house porn. Yeah. It's house porn. It's looking at beautiful homes and wishing and dreaming and drooling and all that good stuff.
So if you could tell your 12-year-old self one thing, knowing what you know now, what would that be?
Quit worrying about what people think. Just go for it.
Tell me more about that.
Well, I think that a lot of us are raised, and I was certainly raised to always just worry about reactions and what people think, and maybe it was just my generation. You know? No? Yeah.
It was my family.
Is it universal? Yeah. And I have totally just realized that in order to be successful, you do not worry about what people think. Now, you may have to worry about what they buy, what they're going to whip out their credit card for, or what they're, if you want to start a business, but you don't worry about the judgmentalness of our society. Drives me crazy, the shaming and all that, you know, because you don't know what someone else is truly thinking and what they're really like. You cannot just judge people from a little, one little myopic view.
Yeah.
So that's what I would definitely tell myself. And I'd also tell myself to quit drinking Diet Coke. I'm a little bit of a health nut when it comes to food. I do not believe in soda. Once in a while I drink a little diet soda, but there she is. I know, I lived on Tab and apples. That's what I did. So if I ever die tomorrow, it's Tab and apples, Okay.
Candy, as far as your childhood, what is a childhood memory that you have that when you think about it, it brings a smile to your face?
Looking at homes.
And looking at homes. Is there a smell from the kitchen? Is there something that when you think back, it's like, wow?
One thing that I really think about a lot is how the freedom that we'd have to bop around at night and just ride bikes. Or I had a scooter that my dad made for me out of wood, and I guess the smell of that wood, you know. I think that freedom was really a lot of what kind of a pleasant thing growing up for me.
That's one of mine too, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, so I remember getting on my bike and riding around with some neighborhood kids, my younger siblings, and we would ride around until it got dusk, because then we knew we needed to go home and eat dinner, right? So, yeah, that's a great memory.
I know there were the boys next door, the kids next door boy. I don't know what I always called them. I never called them by their names. Just I'm going out with the boys next door. We were like 7, you know, but we rode our bikes everywhere.
Yeah.
We even one summer, I'll never forget, we made a fort or a tree house or something, and we had a neighbor who was so sweet, but he had like one finger missing or something. I don't know, it'd been cut off in an accident. He came over and was telling us how wonderful our little fort was, and he kept going like this without the finger. It's like, I don't know, I remember that. It's crazy,
That's a
but
memory.
yes, it's like, where'd the finger go? You know?
Right.
But the treehouse I don't even think it was a treehouse. It was on a little hill or something. We had so much fun making that. And I really would hope that the kids of today, we can give them more of that freedom that we had, just to be and not have to worry about where you are, what you're doing, and for God's sakes, no one hurting you, you know. So.
And Candy, I know you don't have, I'm assuming here, you don't have any regrets about what you do currently as a real estate expert and loving, looking at homes.
Only one is I didn't start sooner.
So, question is, if that wasn't part of the equation, what would you be doing today?
What would I be doing today? Oh, gosh.
What else do you have a passion about?
Well, I'm very passionate about some of the organizations I'm involved with. I'm going to be more involved with the Dallas County Medical Society Alliance, Preservation Dallas. I might be a little bit more forcefully into politics. I don't know, possibly. Politics and journalism, I think, are very close. I do think if I hadn't gone into journalism, believe it or not, I applied to law school. My daughter's a lawyer now, which I think is really funny. And I applied to law school and then kind of chickened out. I don't want to do that. It's 3 years. I'll do journalism school. It's a year, you know. Yeah. So I don't know. Could have been that. I do know that it was funny, my husband and I didn't have seats on our plane going out to Boston. We weren't together. I don't know why, who knows, but anyhow. So he was sitting next to this guy who said, "Oh, I know exactly who your wife is." And Walter's like, "Uh-oh." He said, "No, I'm an attorney, and I was the attorney for Curbed, and I got sued very early in my career with my site for writing about a certain dentist's water park in his backyard." And that.
Oh, I want to hear about that.
Oh, you don't know about this? Oh,
No.
it's a juicy story. We may have to do another show on it. Yeah. But I am sworn to secrecy about the settlement, so I can't really say too much. My lawyer is earmuffing, I hope. Anyhow, he knew because he was involved, and they said, "I totally know who your wife is, and know how she braved that lawsuit." But it was kind of scary at the time, and I was really worried that I'd have to sell my home to pay the lawyers until my insurance kicked in, which was a nice Christmas present to find out that I was covered by my insurance company for all this defense. But then it kind of was fun because I had never been sued before, so I'd never been in court, and it's totally a circus. If you ever go to court, it's totally a dog and pony show. And I used to think in a petition you had to tell the truth, and people lie. They lie like rugs, And so I learned all this stuff, and it kind of gave me a lot of, promotion. I mean, our readership went way up. So thank you, Mr. Naughty Dentist. Yeah. With a water park in your backyard.
There's no bad publicity, I guess is what you're saying, right?
Yeah. I'm so glad you paid the state 1.5 million? Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for all that. Thank you.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, I've got some questions that I like to ask
Sure.
as we wrap up here. And when we had lunch at Bistro 31, I
Which was
I
lovely,
prepped
thank
you a
you.
little bit.
Yeah.
So hopefully you have thought about a person you would like to meet who's living,
Oh,
a
Lord.
place that you would like to go that you haven't been, and an experience that you would like to have. So we'll go back to who is the
Okay.
person that you would like to meet
Who's living?
who's living?
Oh, totally Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett.
Yeah, totally. Want to know why he just bought, you know, the, what did they just buy? It was before vacation, sorry, vacation brain. I think they bought a big ownership in either a home company. It was a big, you know, home company. I really would love to talk with him about his experience in real estate, investing, and what makes people tick. And can I add Elon Musk to that too?
Sure.
Yeah, I think I would love to meet. I think he's fascinating. Man, I'd love to just be in a room with him for 5 minutes.
Okay, just 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and maybe longer.
Okay.
You know, I think I'm too old for this, but you don't want to be around him too long. He has several children, you know.
Is there anyone that you haven't interviewed yet that you want to interview?
Oh, I mean, my biggest, I've got to get Gary Keller. You know, he's in Austin.
Yeah.
And I have been
I
emailing
just got back
him.
from the mega camp that they
Oh,
had
you
last week.
did?
Mhm.
Okay. I've got to get him. He is one of my absolute Texas goals, like this year.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll try to make that connection
Okay,
for you.
I would love that. Well, he knows. I've been emailing him, and every time I'm down there, I say, you know, Gary, could we just have a drink or something? You know, I think he's another fascinating person, and really what he's done with that company is great.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So a place you'd like to go that you haven't been?
Gosh, New Zealand.
Okay.
We were supposed to go to Greece this fall. We can't do that, unfortunately. So I do want to go to Greece. And we were supposed to go to Barcelona right before COVID. And my husband's a physician. I said, this is your call. Do you want to go? I'm game. You know, we get stuck over there. We get stuck over there. My son's like, no, you don't want to get stuck over there. You know, I said, we'll get stuck, whatever. And my husband finally at the last minute, his cousin works for the CDC, and he called him up and he said, well, where are you staying? And he said, Candy got us a great reservation at the Mandarin Oriental. And his cousin, this is at the very beginning of COVID, right? And my cousin says, oh my God, you don't want to stay there. They probably have all the employees are Chinese. And so I'm like, oh yeah, we would have gotten something, you know, at some point. But anyhow, so I do want to go back to Barcelona at some point and stay at the Mandarin Oriental.
Okay.
You know, I'm also sort of in the hotel business a little bit too. With I have a board position, and I really like hotels. So
A board position?
at Braemar Hotels and Resorts, and
Okay.
we have 15 luxury hotels around the country that are just fabulous. So great company.
Good to know. Good to know. All right. And the last question is an experience that you would like to have that you haven't had yet,
Oh my gosh.
like jumping out of a perfectly good airplane, or
My father did that. He was a paratrooper. I don't think so. I don't think I'll do that. I'm not a very risk averse. I'm trying to think. I think my experience would more be in the travel realm. I'm definitely, you know, don't want to do, crazy things. The craziest thing I've ever done was go on a zip line in Puerto Rico. And I didn't want to go. I got to the top and I saw the body bag that they put you in.
Oh, no.
And I said, oh my God. And you know, you get on this zip line and it pulls you across the mountains and it's like, whoosh. So I said, no wonder you have the body bag. So it's easier to put the remains together.
I've been on several zip lines and I've never seen a body bag.
Well, you have to, this is like, you have to lay flat, right? Did you do that?
Oh, I didn't lay flat, no.
How did you, were you sitting? Okay, this is the one where we sit and sit and sit, and then it's like the last one, you get into this flat thing on your stomach, and then you go. And so they said, you gotta go. And I said, oh God, I hate you, bye, you know? And I did it. I think I might wanna learn though how to fly a plane. I think that might be kind of interesting,
go.
actually. That, if I have the controls, I'm good. I'm a little bit of a control freak, and I'm not quite gonna jump into that parachute and not make it, worry that it won't open, you know? So I could fly the plane though. That would be good.
Okay.
So.
Good to know. Is there a question I didn't ask you, Candy, that you would have hoped that I did?
Well, I was preparing for what makes me happy. And of course, I sent some photos over way too late and brought my laptop, but whatever. And they were photos of my grandchildren because they totally make me happy.
And what are their ages?
Well, my youngest is 2. she's going to be 2.5, and she is a pistol. Her name is Amelia. They call her Ace. And the eldest is Palmer and Hattie, who are virtually twins. Hattie's here in Dallas, and she is the apple of my eye. You know, everything, you go into a store, it's like, what do they want? What can I get them? All of them, you know. And Palmer is in California, and they're both going to be 9 in November, December. They're almost 9, and they are just precious. And then there's my little boy who is 7, and he was 7 last week. And we went to celebrate his birthday. We took a little fishing trip, and he actually, his mother said, well, Cece's going to stay with the baby. He says, no, you stay with the baby. I want Cece to go with me on the fishing trip. So
Aww.
I went with him on the fishing trip, sat right next to him.
Did you catch any fish?
We did. We had to throw it back because they were too small.
Oh.
We had a very conscientious fisherman who we've known for a long time, and we got all the bait fish, and then we had them and put them on the hooks and all that stuff. And we caught these stripers, and they were so cute. We said, no, they had to measure them and put them back if they're not.
Okay, so. Sorry,
Yeah.
I've got to interrupt because I am visualizing you putting bait fish on a
Oh,
hook.
oh hell no.
Do you do?
I mean, I was
So
lucky
who
I
baits your
took the
hook?
Oh, the fisherman did. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
So okay.
Yeah,
got
the
it.
guy who, the captain of the boat.
Okay.
Now I did touch those wiggly little fish because they were in this big barrel and they were jumping out of the barrel, and I'm like, you dumb fish, you're not going to breathe out here, you know. So I would pick the poor little wiggly thing up and threw him back in, and he just kept jumping out again. And those were the poor little guys who we used for the bait. I thought that was so cruel. I said, my God, we're catching them to use as bait. Oh, this is so sad. But then we pulled in the lobster traps, and I was like, wait, so we did get some lobster. So we pulled that in. So that was really interesting. The kids enjoyed seeing that, but we put the stripers back in. Okay. Lobsters were good, a little small, but they were good.
I have one more question, Carol. If you have a question, think of it because you can ask it after I ask this one. So Candy, what is one thing that not very many people know about you?
Oh my gosh. There's probably a lot that people don't know about me, which I probably don't want to share.
What are you willing to share?
I played the violin.
Okay.
I don't play it now.
Do you still play? Okay. So
I
you
don't, but I
played.
understand my precious Hattie is going to be taking violin lessons, so I'm going to be encouraging her as much as I can.
Right.
You know, you have to have very short nails for the violin because you make your strings, you know, by placing your fingers on the thing and the neck of the violin, and so of course we'd have to, you know, pull our nails down. But I'm so excited that she's going to play violin. So yes, I was in a symphony for years until I was went to college. So
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Little cultural.
Yeah, a little cultural. Fantastic. Carol, do you have a question to ask?
I don't actually have a question, but I just wanted to affirm the grandmother thing because I am a CC also. And so, and I know that the whole grandmother thing is just phenomenal, and I'm sure you're a wonderful one. Yeah,
Well, I'm sure
it's the
and
best.
It's like this is our gift for putting up with their parents, you know. So I said, you know, putting all the grief that the parents gave us that we did, and then you can just kind of sit there and they just adore you and they love you, and when they talk back to their parents, isn't it hysterical?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I'm like, what did you say? I love it. I'm like, Mom, you shouldn't do that. I go, oh, no.
They're so smart. They're incredibly smart.
Yeah.
So
yes, they
than
pick
anyone.
everything. They pick everything up. Too. Oh, by the way, I have said, I got in trouble, of course, on this trip. I don't know if you get in trouble, but I was explaining to my granddaughter about how you can keep your married name, or you can keep your maiden name, or you can get your married name, right? So I was explaining this to her, and then I said, and you know, I said, I started at WBBM in Chicago, and the first day, they sent around a memo saying Candy Fox is working for us and she's not a stripper. Well, my son freaked out and said, what did you tell her?
Right.
I said that they sent a memo out and that I was not a stripper. And of course, then my granddaughter Palmer says, well, Cece, what's a stripper?
What's a stripper?
And so I started, and I was like, okay, she's going to either find out from the internet or from me. Which would you prefer, right? So I'm a little bit of a naughty Cece.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. That's all good.
That's great. That's great. Carol, thank you and Independence Title Monticello
Thank
for
you, Aaron.
sponsoring today. Yes, yes,
Thank
for
you.
sure.
Keep up the good work. Yes, yes.
Yes. And Candy,
Keep
thank
closing.
you. And keep doing what you do. You inspire so
Absolutely.
many people. And
Oh.
those agents that are in this area of Dallas-Fort Worth, they know who you are. And so I really respect you and admire what you do.
Thank you.
And I hope that we can stay in touch. And
We will,
maybe
and
have you
we
back.
want to hear from those. Any questions or anything that you would like to see more of on Candy's Dirt, we're open to finding out about it.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you, Candy.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, that's a wrap. Thank you for joining in today. Yeah, let's give Candy and Carol a round.
Thank you.
So make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't yet. That is at the Matt Hilton Show. And tune in next week as